All right. Says I'm live. If you guys can hear me, please let me know. I do appreciate everyone being here. Probably won't be a typical Daytona 500 stream. Probably going to be a little less busy than normal because we do have it rained out, unfortunately. Mother Nature absolutely hates NASCAR. I was looking at a radar of the entire United States, and I'm pretty sure Florida is the only thing getting hammered, which I am right there, and I can agree. It is pouring rain. So we already got to push back, but I believe we're going to be locked around 4 p.m. tomorrow, so we have plenty of time to build lineups. So for anybody watching this on playback, hopefully I answer all of your questions, but anybody in the chat, I'll be happy to answer anything you got. Excited to talk about this slate. Daytona is always pretty much my most favorite slate to talk about because I'm not going to call it easy, but it's always fun to talk about, and the strategy I think is pretty easy for how we typically play this. Awesome, loud and clear. Appreciate that, Andre. Do appreciate everyone that is here, even though we don't have a race for a while. Let me pop the chat out. We will get this going. I haven't built my lineups yet. I mean, I have a really good idea of what I'm going to end up doing, which is mainly going to be stacking the back, but definitely some pretty good leverage spots, I think, for this slate. And I love the way qualifying shaked out because we have some really solid names in the back like Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, Austin Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And I love that because, yes, they're good plays, but they're going to take away ownership from some of those other place differential plays that have just as much upside as them. Like David Reagan will be chalky. Noah Gragson should have some decent ownership, but the Riley Herbst of the world, Anthony Alfredo, and Daniel Hemrick, they should be lower owned than what they should be, which I think are probably some of the best leverage spots on the entire slate. All right, so I got a donut from my man Chris Jenkins. Always appreciate that. Nice little 20 spot saying, being it may be more of a night race than before, do we look at it any differently? I wouldn't. It should be a wreck fest either way. I wouldn't really change my builds on that. Maybe if you want to up your Monday Marty, because he always seems to do well on Mondays, you can certainly do that, but I like Martin Truex Jr. either way. But I would not change the way I'm building for this slate based off the day it's going to be raced on. What's up, Michael Mass? Also saw Cruz was in here earlier, so I appreciate the shout out, Cruz, and I wish you the best of luck this season as well, but I'm not seeing your message anymore. Must have disappeared on me. What's up, Clint? Says, good morning, happy race day. Let's go, Harvick. Yeah, unfortunately, no race day, no Harvick, but I forget who you said your favorite driver is going to be now. I think you were joining the Blaney train, which obviously, you know, I'm certainly a part of that. But nice to see you as well, Clintster. What's up, Kay? Says, I know it's Daytona. You need to stack the back. I also know that Blaney, Kyle Busch, and Reagan are going to be the chalk. Missing anybody else? I have 15 bullets in the Millie Maker on DraftKings. Yeah, those are definitely going to be pretty much the highest owned plays on the slate. I mean, Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney have a tier on their own. I have them in the mid 40s for their ownership. That could creep towards 50. I got Blaney at 46, percent, whatever, some decimal points, and then Kyle Busch around 45. There's going to be a drop off after that. I mean, it's pretty much Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Austin Dillon. They'll be very chalky as well. Decent name value, and both those guys have won at Daytona before. And then I do think Truex will have some ownership as well. People were probably looking at the Toyotas if they watched the dual races, if they watched practice. I mean, all the Toyotas were up top as well. So I do think Truex will get some ownership. And I do like him quite a bit. I know he doesn't have the strongest track record of really finishing super speedways, but in the next gen era, he's actually been very good. And the average running position is really up top with some of the best, like Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano. He's right there with them. I believe he won a couple of stages last Daytona 500, if I remember correctly. So he should run well. It's just a matter of avoiding the wrecks for MTJ. What's up, Potato? Says good to be back. Unfortunately, Mother Nature hates NASCAR as much as Coach hates paying his taxes. You look cute, Chris. I can agree with all of that, Potato. Agree with all that. We know Coach certainly hates so hopefully the IRS isn't listening to him. But yeah, Mother Nature absolutely hates NASCAR. The Clash got screwed over, and then once again Daytona, which we're losing the Pitbull concert. We'll see if The Rock comes back tomorrow, but just unfortunate because it seemed like there was a lot of hype coming into it. What's up, Hockey Freak Sean? Says, LFG you all. Vroom Vroom season, sure is. Best season of the year. Always is. Once February comes around, one time start. What's up, Hunter? Says, how's business, Bob? I think Bob would say booming. I saw that tweet on Twitter. Also, for those of you that placed bets on FanDuel earlier in the week, apparently they are canceling those bets since the race is starting 24 hours after the scheduled start time, which I think is absolutely stupid. Because I got Bell at plus 2,700 I forget exactly what day it was. And then that's down to like 15 at most places, 15, 16, somewhere in that frame. So, I mean, that was my favorite bet of the week, and I guess that got canceled. So that's very unfortunate. A lot of my bets, it really didn't plan on it being this way, but they ended up being like hedge bets because I have no interest in Cindric, Bell, McDowell, those types for DFS, but I had small bets on them to win at really good odds. But fortunately, I'm losing the Bell one, I guess. Won't be able to get those odds ever again. What's up, Paper Chaser? Nice to see you. So let's get this money, boys. Let's do it. Man's gonna be late to his own funeral. I probably will be. I don't think I've ever been on time for one stream ever. What's up, Tito? Does Truex a log out? Hey, I'm with Truex this week. I wouldn't play him in cash games, which I do think a lot of people will do. He's starting in 27th, and he's a big name, and people are going to be on the Toyotas, but it's already a little bit too far for me for cash purposes. The only thing he isn't late to is Warzone. Darn right about that. Never be late to a Warzone game. What's up, Justin? Justin. I was reading your last name with it. What's up, Andre? Joseph. What's up, Pugsley? He's still late to Warzone Potato? Yeah. Sometimes. What's up, Mr. Miyagi? Adam says Millie or bust. Yeah, you got to get weird in the Millie. You got to get weird. Like, if you only have a few bullets in the Millie, I would probably recommend getting away from Ryan Blaney, Kyle Busch types. I mean, if you're playing a few lineups, like, if you're playing like a 3-max, I don't think the worst strategy in the world is to do a lineup with both, do a lineup with one, and then do a lineup just fading both. That might be a solid way to go. I mean, there is the chance both of them are optimal. You're just going to be hand holding, and it's going to turn into like a 4v4. And you probably already have other chalk at that point. If you are playing Ryan Blaney and Kyle Busch together, especially, you need to really find some low-end plays to mix with them because everybody else is going to have the same looking lineup if you're doing that. So if you're playing Blaney and Kyle Busch, you really should try to shy away from playing outside of cash games. If you're playing cash games, it's fine. But playing tournaments, and you already got Busch and Blaney. I mean, I don't really think you could look at Austin Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse, Martin Truex Jr. at that point because everyone else is doing the same thing. You need to be looking at Daniel Hemrick, Anthony Alfredo, maybe even like a Ryan Preece, Todd Gillen. They're going to be underowned for where they should be. I mean, all these, I think the best thing you can do at a super speedway is just remove the names from these drivers and just play the Q spots. It's as simple as that. Like, sure, Kyle Busch is amazing. He's starting in 34th. Ryan Blaney is arguably the best super speedway driver right now. He's starting in 32nd. It doesn't mean he can't crash and finish 29th. I mean, Noah Gragson can just kind of chill all day if he wanted to. I'm not saying he's going to, but maybe like an Anthony Alfredo chills all day in the back and all those guys rack out. He finishes 17th. He's going to be a better play than Blaney, Kyle Busch if they happen to be in the wreck. So, I mean, all these guys got an equal shot. So just play the ones that are lower owned and set yourself up for success. I'm not saying it's a guarantee you'll win, but I mean, it's going to reduce the hand holding and it'll certainly give you leverage. Got a donut from a man spread. Appreciate that. Says thank you for helping with golf and UFC this way. Oh yeah, totally. Totally welcome. If you want to sign up for the golf and UFC packages, hit the link down below. Don't do that. You'll be disappointed. There's nothing there. But go Bunny, yes, of course. But I do have the NASCAR package. So if you guys do want access to all that stuff and want to look at what I'm referencing, I'm answering your questions, it's all available over there. Pretty cheap, I think, compared to everybody else. So check that out if you want. But I do appreciate the donut spread every single week. Pugsley says, I hope to see the beginning of the race. Police Academy gets out exactly at 4 p.m. So maybe there will be a delay. I'd be kind of shocked if they start right at 4. So we'll see. I thought someone said there's going to be rain in the morning on Monday, so maybe it ends up getting pushed back a little bit. I'm kind of hoping for like a 5, 6 p.m. Cup start so we can just kind of have a night race, which will be a night anyway, but at some point. What's up, Bob? Says, hey, Chris, who are some good plays to win outright? Thanks for the info. Looking forward to another great year. So the bets I had earlier in the week were McDowell at 40-1, and we're talking like 0.1, 0.2 units on these because it's Daytona. Anything can happen. I had McDowell at 40, Bell at 27, Preece at 55 and 60, and then Cindric at 35. Those numbers have since gone down. The ones I am showing leverage on right now, if you can get them at current odds, and we're talking very small sprinkles, like 0.1, 0.2 units. Be cautious with your money at Daytona, especially if you're doing outright bets. Cindric at 28-1 does have value, slightly. Eric Jones at 30-1 has slight value. And then Briscoe and Preece both are showing slight value. If you can get them at 6,000 and 6,500 currently. So we're just talking sprinkles on these guys. Like, I don't have any leverage at all on all these favorites. Like, betting Denny to win at 8-1 at Daytona just seems kind of insane to me. And the top 10 odds are absolutely terrible. Like, I can't even get close to, like, I'm getting minus 30%, minus 40% leverage on some of these. Because they got Denny Hamlin at minus 300 to get a top 10. That's 75% chance to get a top 10. That's just insane at Daytona. So not even coming close to that. So there's not one top 10 I would look at. I mean, even the junk drivers in the back, which we don't really have those pure junk drivers like Cody Ware, McLeod. But shout out to McLeod in the dual race. He was kind of falling out. But we don't really have those anymore. Like, the worst drivers we have are Riley Herbst, Daniel Hemrick, Anthony Alfredo. I mean, they're fine. So, but the best odds you can get are plus 350. So, I mean, the days of getting them at much longer odds are gone. So there's really not much. The only thing I'd be doing is just some of the drivers I mentioned. Get some sprinkles on there, and if they happen to work out, I mean, you'll be happy. And if not, it won't be much of a disaster because you don't delay too much on a 5,500 to get much out of it. What's up, Easy? Appreciate you being here, as always. What's up, Michael? We can hear you, and trust me, Florida isn't the only thing getting hammered today. I wish I read that before I said it out loud. Hockey Freak Sean says, Pugsley becoming an officer? Sounds like it. I never last year he said he was in the academy, so hopefully all is going well for him. Jeff says, the strategy differ any on super speedways or FanDuel? That's a good question because, you know, place differential isn't weighed as heavily over there, and it can kind of be more so finishing position. But for Daytona, it's pretty much all the same for me as far as DraftKings and FanDuel builds are concerned. Like, for example, DraftKings, my highest projected 5 are Blaney Bush, Truex, Stenhouse, Dillon. And if we look on FanDuel, my highest projected are Blaney Bush, Truex, Stenhouse, Dillon. That's literally the same exact thing. And then you see the scrubs are even high on FanDuel. Like Reagan's in the top 10, Gregson, Herbst, all those guys. So it's the same exact builds for me. And a general rule of thumb that I like to follow is if you're using an optimizer, you can do this in your head too if you're hand building. I'm not saying you have to use an optimizer. But for the position starting 1st through 12th, I'll make a group. I want 0 to 1 drivers. You can stretch out the 2, but it's a bit much for me. I'd prefer 0 to 1. And then for the drivers starting 13th through 24th, I would take 0 to 3 drivers. A lot of times you'll probably end up getting 0 because all the guys in the 30s are going to grade out so well. But 0 to 3 drivers wouldn't want any more than 3 showing up inside the top 24. And 25th to 40th, I want 3 to 6 drivers. You need at least 3 of those guys, but chances are more is going to pop up, probably more so in the 4 to 5, even 6 range. So that's how I would build. If you're hand building, I would follow that general rule of thumb. And if you are playing single entries, I would really just stick the 25th on back. I don't think there's any reason to take a risk on a guy starting in the top 25 if you're doing a single entry. Because yes, I know you might be chasing low ownership, but you can get lower ownership in the back on some of the better plays anyway. Like, there's really no harm in playing I don't know how much Riley Herbst is going to be owned. I have him right around 10 to 13% range. Like, obviously, I have them optimal way more than that, but I'm not really sure how much people are going to want to click on them as much. Like, the people that, you know, are smarter about how to build for NASCAR DFS and super speedways, they have no problem clicking on Riley Herbst, but it's kind of a balance on figuring out what the casuals will do. Like, it's their first time playing. Why would they click on Riley Herbst? I can play Joey Logano on the pole. So it's a bit of a guessing game on there because it is a big race, Millie Maker. Going to be a lot of people drawn in that don't usually play NASCAR. Yeah, same strategy for FanDuel. By the way, you have hair out of place. Well, yeah, I had to hurry with this, so it's not my best work. Hopefully it's adequate, though. Are you getting to any Hamlin? So I'm showing him he could be decent in like 3 to 6% of builds, but I myself don't really see myself getting to much outside of 150 max. And even then, I would probably set it to a max of like 5%. Because Denny could certainly win this race. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, Tato looks amazing, and Denny was, I believe, was the fastest in practice. I don't really care how practice goes for super speedways for DFS purposes, but I believe he was at the top of the board. All the Toyotas were in 3 Daytona 500s. So, I mean, yeah, obviously Denny's pretty good at this. And if he doesn't wreck, I mean, he should be tending for a top 5. But even then, he's pretty much got to win the race and lead a decent chunk of laps to really firmly put himself in that optimal, which I think is fair to say could happen anywhere from 5 to 10% of the time. But I'll take my chances on not having too much Denny here, and I'd rather just play the guy starting in the back. Give me a much better chance. Jeff says, eat more chalk on small field, under 100 players, or no? I still think even then you can just find nice leverage plays if it's a small field, especially for Daytona. Like, if you're playing a small field, I mean, there is really not that much difference between playing Ryan Blaney and like a Daniel Hemrick today. Like, just give me the guy that's a quarter of the ownership, if that. But I mean, if you are playing a small, super small field, like if you want to play Blaney, you want to play Kyle Busch, by all means, go for it, and you can still build a really solid lineup. Just try to stay away from like adding in Austin Dillon, adding in Ricky Stenhouse. On FanDuel, I'm in some of the single entries, and I think in one of them, I'm just going to do like a straight 36 through 40 build. So that would be. It left $25,000 on the table. It was, yeah, Herbst, Hemrick, Gregson, Alfredo Reagan. I think I'm going to run that in one of my single entries. Just hope for the mass chaos and Blaney and Busch absolutely die. We'll be looking pretty good. Now, my other single entry, I'm probably going to play them. Hedge myself out a bit. I mean, both could work out, obviously. But I think that's the route I'm going to go. Because I definitely want to get some lineups without the major chalk in it. Just says smash the like button. I would appreciate that. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit the noti bell for sure. Hitting all the marks right there. Zane Smith. I have no interest in Zane Smith. He is starting at what, 14th? I believe that's what it is. Yeah, I actually have Zane Smith as the worst projected driver on this slate. I mean, nothing against Zane. It's just I got him projected to finish in the 20s, which I pretty much have all like the lower tier drivers projected to finish around in the 20s for the most part. But with him starting in 14th, there's just really no upside there. So unfortunately for Zane, I don't like him on this slate. Should be very low owned as well. I can't see really anybody getting to him. Jerry says, guess I'll have to call in sick tomorrow to watch Daytona for sure. I'm sure a lot of people are feeling a cold coming on. At least it's later in the day though. So I mean, even if you do have work, if you get out around 5, you probably wouldn't miss much. Great Flick says, hey Chandler, yes, I'm getting Hamlin. He's towards the front, but still like him. Yeah, if you're playing anybody inside the top 10, the only ones I would have any interest in at all, I'm not playing Joey. Elliott maybe starting in 5th, maybe. I don't love it though. So in the top 10, really, the only guys I would even think about are Hamlin and Elliott, and maybe like a small sprinkle of Cindric, because we know, I mean, obviously, win the 500. We've seen it before. He's really good at super speedways. Team Penske typically is, and with him starting pretty far up front, with you have a couple Fords up there and Joey Logano, his teammate, and then you have Michael McDowell as well, and they work together pretty well in the dual race. Obviously, McDowell bailed at the end, but he should be able to run towards the front. So Cindric, Elliott, Hamlin, really the only ones I get to, and we're talking sprinkles at that. Bugsley says, thank you. Only 20 weeks left before 20 years of craziness. Oh, I'm sure. What's up, Phil? This is Chris. Good luck tomorrow, and here's the 2024, my friend. May Gymshark see this and get you a sponsorship. Oh, yeah, I do get the Gymshark. Hopefully. We can only hope. But I do appreciate you being here, Phil. And as I always say, I missed our shows together. It was a very short period, but it was a fun time. So glad Tom in Canada is finally family. Oh, tomorrow in Canada is family day, a holiday up here. Sounds like a nice holiday. Well, hopefully enjoy your day off, and you got lucky with the Daytona being on it as well. Sucks. I can't even really do anything on my day off today. It's pouring. Since I'm in Florida, I'm getting it, so I guess it's just a long day of video games. Norman says Larson finally going to win it. I don't know. I mean, that dude just has the absolute worst luck at super speedways. I'd be surprised if he won. I know we've seen him run up front before, but he just doesn't seem like he handles the draft super well. But anybody could win this race, so I'm not gonna call you crazy. Hey Chris, playing our fave 20 max on FanDuel. Should be a 25 max, but can't figure out FanDuel operations process lately. I know. Yeah, I'm in the 20 max with you. It used to be they had the $2.22 and it was 150 max. I love that contest, and they got rid of it. I wish they brought it back. So, and that $9 payout structure is bad. It's like 50K to first and 15,000 to second. I usually like it when it's at least like 50% of it. If it's gonna be 50K, give me 25K to second, make it flatter. But I guess compared to the milli, I mean, the milli's brutal. Noah says, feels like a ton of money left over in lineups is optimal. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Leaving money on the table is one of the better things you can do because people are going to use their salary because a lot of the expensiver plays are really going to be really chalky. Like Bush and Blaney are in the 9K range, 97, 98. So that's going to eat up close to $20,000 of your salary right there. And if I just, all right, I did a quick 20 builds here, just not looking at any of the, not doing any settings or anything, I should say. And the average salary used just without doing anything is 48,800, which is a lot for a super speedway. I mean, you can build really good lineups. Leave here if I just let's click in just some of the randoms in the back. We'll do 5 guys in the back plus Gillen since he's cheap. That's a fine lineup. That uses 33,900. That's perfectly fine. Gregson, Reagan, Gillen, Hemrick, Alfredo, Herbst. There's a ton of money on the table and perfectly fine for a race like this. So do not think you have to max out your salary. A lot of people will get somewhat close because you also have Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at $8,000, Truex Jr. at $82. Dylan's not expensive, but he is $73. And then the mid-range, as far as the starting positions, you have a decent group here, which my projections do like, but you still have to be careful because you have Brad Keselowski, Ty Gibbs, Kyle Larson, William Byron, Chris Buescher, and they're decent price tags of all around $9,000, and I think people will play them. So I'm hoping people use most of their salary. What's up, Miss Jules? Hi, handsome. Happy to be back with NASCAR, fam. Good luck to everyone tomorrow, especially if you're a Blaney fan. Yes. Ever since I took her to the race at Homestead, she's been all in. She already liked NASCAR, since this is what I do, but she's definitely been all in on the NASCAR stuff now. I'm watching the Netflix NASCAR stuff, and she wants to go back to the races, so I think we hooked her in. And definitely a big Blaney fan now as well. What's up, Jolly? Hopefully all is going well for you. Posey says they got rid of Prize Picks in New York, so it's kind of lame here now. Yeah, and they're actually getting rid of Prize Picks and Underdog in Florida. That sucks a lot because I love doing best ball drafts. So, I mean, I realize that since Hard Rock is in Florida now, that they want everybody to use Hard Rock, which is nice to have legal sports betting. It sucks we only have one book because, I mean, if the odds aren't really good, I mean, you're kind of trapped. But I loved having Prize Picks because they're a partner. I love playing on the site. It's fun. And they offer really good promos. The Underdog, you have awesome best ball drafts. I know they do the DFS pick'ems. It'd be nice if they could just get rid of the pick'ems and let us play best ball. I mean, it's just fantasy. It's not like we're betting on props or anything. So we'll see how that goes. But it would be really, really sad to lose the best ball drafts. Because when it's the dog days of summer, that's always a nice little thing to do if you're bored. What's up, Justin? Says, what's up, bro? My Florida. Yep, been a few years now since I've been in Florida. Shitty. Oh, shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry, Mom, if you were watching. Here on the East Coast as well. Is Prize Picks leaving Florida, by the way? Yes, I was a comment before that. But yeah, we are losing Prize Picks, unfortunately, which really sucks because they have Xfinity on there, trucks, and that's what got me into trucks and Xfinity last year, is looking at the Prize Picks props because I was never interested in the lower level series. But I've been getting into it now, and the trucks race was really fun. And then I watched the ARCA race right after that, which was amazing. My favorite quote was a guy at the end of the race, right before overtime, he said, "I'm not lifting until I see God or the checkered flag." And I think like 20 seconds later, he wrecked. But I'm getting into the lower stuff now, and it is fun. There's some pretty good racing. Tito says, Truex at nighttime, we know what happens. Hey, I'm not saying he can't win. He has ran well with the super speedways, and he's come close a couple of times. To stay hydrated. Yep, I got the mason jar out, just like old times. So we'll be staying hydrated. D Pope says, "What's up, Chris? Gloomy day for racing." Yeah, it sucks. I can't even go outside and play pickleball. We're just getting soaked today, so just absolute boredom here. So just ask me anything you want and keep me busy, please. Supposed to rain here early in the morning, so might push back morning race to 12 to 1, so night race is possible. That's what I'm hoping for. I mean, 4 p.m. is better than a 12 p.m. start for Cup. That'd been pretty lame. But if we could get like a prime time, 6 o'clock. We're lucky enough, 7, but I doubt we're going to start that late. I think it should be cleared by then. But yeah, give me a night race for the 500. Should be fun. Jared says, I know you don't cover Xfinity Series, but what do you think about Jesse Love getting the pole? Yeah, I wouldn't know enough to even say anything, so I don't want to give you bad advice. But the one thing I do know is, talking DFS, I probably should have any interest there, but I don't know enough about Jesse Love. I hear him on the DBC podcast from time to time. I guess I'll have to look into him more. But not well versed on Jesse Love, unfortunately. But yeah, appreciate Spread dropping the link right there. So you have the access to the projections and whatnot that I'm referencing here. And saw a lot of you came back this year, so I do appreciate y'all signing up. For real, appreciate that. How much ownership do you see LaJoy pulling, says Steve? So LaJoy and Allmendinger were a couple guys that I was struggling with, because normally if LaJoy is starting around 30th at a super speedway, I mean, he's going to be pretty chalky, right? But there's a lot of place differential plays, so I had to put him a little bit lower than normal. So I currently see LaJoy getting close to 20%. Could it be under that a little bit? Sure. Could it be over? Maybe. But I got him and Allmendinger pretty similar. I gave LaJoy a slight nod to have more ownership, but they're both close to 20, I think. That's probably a fair assumption. What's up, Margie Don Yeezy? Always a tongue twister, but I think I nailed that one. Paper Chase says, how would you rank Hemrick, Herbst, Alfredo for Singletary GPP? I would probably have Herbst first and then Alfredo, Hemrick, but they're all very similar. I do like Riley a lot, though. And with him starting, I believe, 36th, the furthest up of the bunch, I'm just hoping people get slightly scared of that. I mean, he's going to have ownership. He should be close to the teens, tends to the teens, but he should be higher than that. Truex or Bubba? I will take Truex. Both should be somewhat similarly owned. I do think Truex will be a little bit higher. Then you get a couple more spots, so I'll take MTJ. I have Blaney, Busch, Wallace, Gregson, Hemrick, and Gilly. The Byron fanboy in me wants Willie B, but I know it's wrong. Yeah, I would stick to what you have right now. Like, you can filter in Willie in some lineups. Like, he doesn't project bad for me by any mean. Like, he's actually in the top 10 is my projections. But at the same time, that can be a lot of risk. Because, I mean, obviously his history at the Daytona 500 has not been too kind to him either. But he is a good play racer. But starting inside the top 20 is always going to have a bit of caution for sure. Teabag Time says, Burton, good starting position, takes him out for DFS. Would you take a stab at his line at like 6,500? Let me check what I have. I actually think he might have been not terrible for my numbers. You can get him at 65. Yeah, at 5,500, I'm pretty much even on that. So if you can get him at 65, I don't mind that. I mean, he should be working with the Penske boys, so I believe he's starting 12th, isn't he? If I remember right. Yeah, he's starting 12th, so you get a good starting position as well. So maybe if he can, yeah, I don't mind that. 65, obviously like a very small sprinkle though. What's up, Johnny T? Says, do you do FanDuel projections in your Patreon? If so, I'm definitely going to sign up. I think I might anyway for all your help. And one question, do you like Noah Gragson or Austin Dillon? I appreciate that. I actually like Noah Gragson a lot right there. So I'll probably take Gragson over Austin Dillon. My projections, I believe, have Dillon just like 2 points higher. But Gragson should be lower owned, so I'd rather go with him. And yes, I do have FanDuel projections. I don't currently do ownership or an optimizer for FanDuel because not as much people do it, so I don't really think it's worth the time currently. I play FanDuel, but I know pretty much everybody does DraftKings. But I do have FanDuel projections, like just not the ownership stuff. So, I mean, obviously there'd be a decent amount of overlap compared to DraftKings. But if you do, appreciate it. If not, either way, I do appreciate you being here. So, thank you, John T. What's up, Rob? I have 16 lineups in the $1.20 max on DraftKings. How many lineups should I play a couple chalk drivers in on average? Well, I mean, if you have 16 lineups, if you went 50% on Blaney and Busch, that'd be an 8. So if you want to try to get a little bit different, maybe you can go slightly lower than that. And then just really hammer the lower owned guys in the back. But make sure when you build the Blaney Busch lineups, be mindful of who else you're putting in there. Like in the lineups you don't have Blaney Busch, you can mix in like Austin Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse, and that makes sense. Am I looking at Gibbs or John Hunter Nemechek at all? I already knew that was going to be Zan as soon as I saw the Gibbs. But I don't think I'm going to have, like, if I'm hand building, I'm not playing Gibbs. I'm definitely not playing Nemechek for where they're starting. In my 150, I could see Gibbs maybe popping up a few times, starting in 15th. But outside of that, he's just starting so far up. There's just really not much upside. Like, I gave Gibbs a 14.74 projected finish on DraftKings. The dominator points are pretty much irrelevant when he got like something. That's 28.7 points. It's decently low. There's just really not much upside there. And 14 is really not that bad because my projected winner is Joey Logano, and I had him at 13.47. With so much random variables we have at Daytona and the high crash rates and everything, it's gonna be hard to have anybody projected to like win, like flat out win at like 1. Now, if we're at like Martinsville, my projected winner usually end up being like around the 3 to 4 range. Daytona 13. That should tell you the randomness we have at the track. So Daytona was postponed till tomorrow after Xfinity. That is correct, Rob. Currently, it's set for 4 p.m. Could see that being a little bit later. We will see. Colts fan says, in a 20 max, how many players would you put in your pool to give you leverage on your plays? How many? Well, just looking at some numbers here. I mean, you could almost delete half the field, really. If you're doing a 20 max, like you could sprinkle in some guys inside the top 15, top 20. But if you just want to go from like 20th on back, I wouldn't have an issue with that. You could probably delete like half the field out of your pool in a 20 max. Just stick to the guys in the very back. I mean, you could make a rule to where you could keep in guys like Keselowski, Byron, Busher, who just barely don't make the cut there. But I mean, you could probably get rid of half the field nearly. What's up, Pete? He says, hey, look, it's Oakley's dad. Yes, the proud owner of Oakley. Jackson to the front? I hope so. I hope he stays in the front, though. I kind of want him to stay in the back for the majority of the race. Not sure I want him hanging out up front. It's probably a recipe for disaster near the end. I mean, look, if your drivers for the majority of the race are hanging out in the back and not making an impact and your lineup suck, you should be happy. You don't want those guys up front near the end. Yeah, the last lap, sure, you might want them up there. But even then, we can lose half the field then, too. So you pretty much want your guys doing terrible for the majority of the race because, sure, you're missing out the lap sled and you're not currently winning for 70% of the race, but I would rather be winning at the end of the race rather than the beginning. So probably want your lineups to be pretty bad in the beginning. Phyllis says, did you catch the end of the truck race on Friday? That wreck was awesome. Yes, that was sweet. I'm still learning about trucks and Xfinity, still getting familiar with the drivers, but the race was really fun. The flip was amazing. Went right over a truck, I should say, and I thought he was about to start driving on top of him, but yeah, that was awesome. Raja almost pulled it off, and I forget who won. Nick Sanchez won. But yeah, that was a great race. The truck races I have watched since like the middle half of last year and on, I've enjoyed them. They've been very good. And Xfinity's been solid too. Pugsley says, Chris, you'll have to play drivers 2 on this rainy day and fight for democracy. Is that a game? I've never heard of it, unfortunately. I'll be fighting for democracy in Warzone today in Fortune's Keep. So I'll be doing my part then, but as far as I haven't heard of that one yet. Albert says, late to the party? Oh, good, Albert. I was late to my own party as well. Glad to see you, Chris. Who are your favorite drivers low-owned? My favorite low-owned option. I mean, they're not going to be like completely unowned, but for the place differential, I'm going to be hammering Alfredo. I'll be hammering Hemrick, Riley Herb, Todd Gillen's a good option. I didn't mention Gregson and Reagan there. I think they'll be the chalky they're not bum drivers, but bum drivers in the back. They'll be popular. I'm still going to be overweight on them, but I mean, if you're just playing Hemrick, Alfredo, and Riley Herb, so we'll get decent ownership. And Todd Gillen shouldn't be too popular. I also don't think we talked about him. I don't think Josh Berry will be insanely high owned either, and he's going to be starting in 30th. I mean, I know the 4 car can hang. roster the guys that don't have the big names in the back, and that's the best way to get leverage. I don't want to sound like a broken record and make it sound like it's as easy as that. It's not a guarantee that works out either. I mean, they can wreck, but it just makes sense to play those guys more than some of the major chalk. Give yourself some leverage. It says, do you like people in the teens range like Larson, Kess, Byron, Bowman, Busher? Also thoughts on Jimmy? I like them to a degree. They will be in my lineups, but together, I mean, I probably just want like one, a max of two, which would follow the builds of round 1, 0 to 3 drivers starting inside that range. And they are playable because they can flat out win the race. I mean, would anybody be surprised if Brad Keselowski wins? Not today, but tomorrow? I don't really think so. So I think you have to have him in your builds a bit, but he's very aggressive and he could easily wreck out. So just stuff you have to keep in mind. And as far as Jimmy Johnson is concerned, not a ton of interest there. He's starting in 23rd. I believe last year he started 39th or 38th. Was heavy chalk. Was doing well. I believe he wrecked in the last lap with Kyle Busch, I believe. So I'm not getting to a lot of Jimmy just for where he's starting. And not that price matters, but the price is kind of up there too. Am I playing Blaney? I'll be playing Blaney today, yes. I'm not going to go absolutely insane because of the high ownership, but you should definitely have Blaney in your lineup today for sure. Do you have a favorite pay up option? Blaney and Busch, I mean, those are the easy answers right there. I mean, they're certainly the best projection plays. That says I'm at the 2500 and it's pouring. Yeah, what are you doing there? Get back home. You won't be seeing anything today. Who do I like for cash? If you're playing cash today, I think everyone's just going to have the same lineup. You're playing Blaney, you're playing Busch, there's 2. You're playing Stenhouse, you're playing Dillon, you're playing Reagan, there's 5, and you're probably throwing in Noah Gragson. That's 6, most likely. That's most likely it. When I say an easy build, I don't mean it's an easy build that you're guaranteed to cash, but I think that's an easy build to make for Daytona. And none of that's even uncomfortable. Like, I don't really have any doubts about Gragson in 38th. I don't feel bad about playing Reagan by any means. Really easy build to get to. Adam says, Chris, what's your biggest DK win of all time? It was the Chrome Horn. That was a good day in college. But yeah, it was Chrome Horn, then a lot of lug nuts over on the DK side of things. Hope this group gets the million. Let's hope so. We've had it once. Hopefully we can get it twice. We didn't get it last year. We got it the first year. So hopefully we can get in the third. Hopefully it's one of you watching or someone in the Discord. Albert says, I'm ready for MLB Best Ball. I've done 1 draft so far with more to come on Underdog. I'm hoping DK does MLB Best Ball. I did some last year, but I'll be honest, I get a little bit bored of it. I love baseball, but best balls for MLB are just a little bit rough for me. I play in a season-long league though. That's a full-blown disaster. It gets ugly. But yeah, I can't wait for baseball either. It's something to do during the week when we don't have our NASCAR races. Would I fade Blaney and Kyle Busch in the Millie? Yeah, I depending on how many bullets you have, yes. I mean, if you have a whole bunch of lineups, I'm going to be playing them. But if you have one lineup in the Millie, I think it's probably best to not play Blaney or Busch. Because, I mean, if they're optimal, you're holding a bunch of hands anyway, and you're probably not going to win the Millie. If they wreck out, you're giving yourself a ton because they're going to be owned by half the field. I mean, if you just wipe that out, I mean, you're already on your way. Ben says, what about the drivers who are also in the Xfinity race? They'll be exhausted before the race even starts. No, I mean, that's not something to worry about. We've seen Kyle Busch do triple headers before. I know it's like right after, but they'll be. That's something I'd be worried about. Suarez, I'm not really playing anyway. Alfredo, I am playing. Dinger, yes, but not something I'd be concerned over. He says, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button on your way out. Let's help him hit 12K subs by the end of the stream. Are we there? Let me check. That'd be cool if we hit 12K. We did. Appreciate that. 12,000 subscribers. Thank you all. I do appreciate that. It's awesome. Ruben says, David Reagan top 10? Maybe. I mean, if there's a bunch of wrecks, I mean, he could. But I bet it? No. But for DFS purposes, I'm hoping he does. What's up, Mom? Says, hi, buddy. Happy race day, NASCAR fan. Good luck, everyone. Let's go, Logano. I'll tell you right now, Mom, Logano is not someone we are rooting for this week. We need a swift death on Joey, unfortunately. Starting on the pole, I will have absolutely none of it. Yeah, the race is tomorrow. We are getting hammered with rain, unfortunately. I'm just checking a couple of things here. I wonder if they're going to open up any more contests because, well, for the Millie Maker, I don't think that was having a struggle to fill. So they're going to luck out with getting an extra 24 or so hours on the start of that race. Looking at FanDuel here, looks like they actually did open some more contests. I see they opened a new bump and run 2K to first. So that's new. They might open up a new slingshot that's already over 80% full. But everything else is getting pretty close. Chris Jenkins says, I have to build 36 lines for the Millie Maker. What percent of those should be YOLO lines? A decent amount, really. I mean, you want to give yourself you don't want to hold hands with people. Like, it's fine to play the chalk here, and you can play YOLO lines even with some of the chalk. I mean, completely different. But I would say a decent amount. I'm not sure there's really a set percentage I can give you of that. That's more so personal preference. But I would say a decent amount for sure. Like, don't be scared to play Hemrick today. Or don't be afraid to play Alfredo. Like, I am way more comfortable playing Alfredo than I am like a Joey Logano or Chase Elliott. Any left for Hocevar or Zane Smith? Not this week. Not this week. It's going to be impossible to get to them, really. Hocevar starting in 9th. That's pretty much an impossible task. And then John Nemechek starting in 10th. I mean, there's just so much downside for that. So much downside. Pulling up some new odds here and see if anything changed. I do, because FanDuel pulled their lines after. FanDuel pulled their lines and I guess refunded everybody's bets. But they did put up some new numbers. They got Denny Hamlin at 850. Let me see what they have Bell at. Yeah, they have Bell at 1300. I had Bell at 2700. And they take it down because it's going to be after 24 hours. Now, if I wanted to bet Bell again, he's at 1300, which I'm obviously not going to bet. So it just sucks. It's very unfortunate because the events still it's not a different event. So I think those rules are absolutely terrible. Lost my favorite bet of the weekend on that. So that sucks. I mean, if I want to get Christopher Bell anywhere, like DraftKings has him at 2,000, which is better, but I don't think I'm going to do that either. MGM's typically pretty soft, but Hard Rock has him at I have him at 16, so I guess if Bell wins, I'll be very unhappy. Peter says, can I get a shot for winning the season-long baseball league? No, because I forgot. I wish I would have remembered to put my lineup in at the end. Well, I guess I give you a shout though, because that was a really tough league. There's only 30 fights and 40 people quitting during it, but that was fun. Okay, says I got 15 bullets in the Millie. Yeah, I mean, you certainly want to fade chalk in a decent amount of those lineups for sure. Pugsley says, yes, Chris, is a game that launched this past week. It's mad fun. You should look into it. I might have to. I have nothing else to do today, unfortunately. Jason says, subscribed yesterday, first year following NASCAR DFS picks. Awesome. Well, just know, Jason, every single week is going to be super different. So if we're like at Phoenix, don't think that this is going to be the same type of build every single week. Daytona is absolutely insane. It's going to be a lot of wrecks, so we just play the place differential. A normal week, we're playing these guys that start up front. They can lead a lot of laps. Those laps actually matter for fantasy purposes, so the builds are going to be a lot different. What's up, Coach? Says, what's up, Chris? Terry here. Would you fade Busch and Blaney in a single entry, $100 to See this heart's blocking my single enter. I think it says 10K to first contest or $100. I think it's 10K. I'm assuming that's a really big field, so I would fade at least one probably. Fade at least one, because even if they do well, you could still get away with it. Be harder, obviously, but your chances of taking it down, I think, are better if you don't have them in your builds. I'd probably go that route. But I think I caught up to the chat, which unfortunately with the rain delay, didn't have the usual stream count, unfortunately. But if you are watching this on playback, if I didn't answer any of your questions during this time, leave them down below. I'm more than happy to answer them. I have my preview video already up. You can check that out. Also running a contest. If you did not see that, it's give you $25 to the winner. But just comment on my video who you think is going to be the highest scoring driver and how many points that is going to be. And then whoever's closest, you're going to win. I'll send you some money. So check that out if you haven't yet already. But I think that'll be it. Do appreciate the donos. Wish you all the best of luck. And hopefully we can get this thing going tomorrow. The weather looks better. And all enjoy.